Thank you so very much, Prachi, for coming over here. It means a lot. Thank you for taking your time out. I learn a lot from you, and definitely our audience are going to get lot benefit out of this interview. Thank you so very much.
The feeling is mutual. The learning is also mutual. The gratitude is also mutual. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, Prachi. So I know that most of the people in my circle know you, but for those don't know you, what is that you would like to tell about yourself? I want a small intro about yourself, what you do, and about you.
Okay. So I'm a voicing artist. I've been one since I was 6 years old. Basically, I dub for commercials, for audio visuals, you know the works. I lend my voice to it. I'm also a transformation trainer, meaning that I believe that if you want to change the world around you, if you want to change your life, the change must first happen within yourself. That's why transformation trainer.
Wonderful, wonderful. What a short and simple intro. Something to learn from you.
Thank you.
All right. So as you know, this interview is about vulnerability. It's about the untold stories about you. So can you take the audience through your journey? Where were you? And where are you right now? Okay. So to set the context right, when I ask you where were you, what were your lowest of the times, and where are you right now? And then I'll take the other questions from there.
Okay, sure. So, my journey as a voicing artist started when I was 6 years old. So my entire life has been about voice dubbings, going to recording studios, lending my voice. And I've always had I'm blessed to be born in a family of legends. My parents are also artists. My Nana ji was the one who introduced Lata Mangeshkar to the industry. So he contributed of a legend. Yeah.
Wow.
It's his legacy. I'm blessed to inherit it. Wow. But having said that, thank you. But having said that, all that glitters is not always gold. So in spite of being successful artists, we were also very kalakar-like with our money. So I learned it the hard way that I needed to manage my money better to be able to provide my family with a better lifestyle, better standard of living and such. So I've come a long way in terms of learning how to manage my money, which I feel is a very important aspect of your physical existence. It's the foundation. So that's one area that you must learn how to master. And the other thing, speaking of, when you asked me about my lowest point, I think when we speak of vulnerability and untold stories, so I remember as a child, as a voicing artist, we used to go to recording studios to dub for ads and sing jingles and such. And I come from a school which is not ICSE, IB board वगैरह कुछ नहीं, normal SSE school में हमारी पढ़ाई हुई थी. And it was a predominantly Marathi school. King George, I love my school, IS King George. And everybody used to speak in Marathi. So, there is this unfortunate perception of Marathi people. The slang word is Ghati. Which is actually wrong because Ghatis are people from the Ghat. The Western Ghat of Maharashtra. So it's like a corruption of the understanding of the word. But having said that, I remember very clearly there was this bunch of English-speaking, convent-educated jingle singers and voicing artists who would look down on us. So I have very clear, vivid memories of feeling like I was an outcast, feeling like I was not good enough, feeling like, how do I get them to respect me or even acknowledge my presence, I remember feeling that as a child. And I remember facing the challenge of not mastering the English language and feeling like I was not worthy just because I couldn't speak in English. Today also I personally feel, I made it my job to master this language. I learned, I studied really hard. My sister fortunately was my biggest blessing because she used to sit with that Ren and Martin's grammar book. And she used to teach everyone. So, karte, I grew more comfortable. Now I've learned it enough to be able to communicate with no matter which country a person comes from. If they can speak English, I can have a conversation with them.
Beautiful.
But honestly, मैं आपको एक बात बताती हूँ कि अपनी मातृभाषा को जितना महत्व मिलना चाहिए ना, वो नहीं मिलता है. So it is not about just because आपको अंग्रेजी आती है that you're the master. No. It's ultimately about self-confidence, self-worth. If you understand that you're worthy, no matter which language you communicate and no matter which village you come from, no matter what you've studied, if you understand that you are worthy, you are complete just by being yourself. I think that is, I mean, for me, that was the biggest blessing. That's from my lowest to learning and growing. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree to what you said. Each and every word actually resonated with me, wherein I'll take a little time to share a little bit of myself as well. When I studied in Lakshadweep, wherein you don't know, the only language you speak was Malayalam and English was only written. Never knew. And then I was from Lakshadweep, I was put into Mumbai. No Hindi, no English. But blessed to have good friends when I can talk the way I talk. And Hindi to acha ho gaya mera. So I understand absolutely what you say. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So from the age of 6, wow, that's like beautiful. Such a huge experience you have in this industry.
I'm ancient. I'm like furniture in the industry. I've been around longer than most production guys. Right. You know, so this happens in studios, right? So new agency kids come, and then the sound engineer has seen me since I was little, and he's also in the industry for a very long time. So sometimes when agency youngsters, like they're 20 something, and then they'll explain the concept, they'll give the story, and the engineer will just turn to them and say, dude, तेरी उम्र नहीं है जितना इसका education, age है, so तू please, experience है, तू चुपचाप बैठ. But the whole point is that age is irrelevant.
True.
Learnings matter more, right? Your experience matters more.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, irrespective of 20 something, I'm willing to listen. Bring it on. Whoever can teach, I'm willing to listen. Beautiful.
Again, another piece of learning. How many ever years of experience you have, be open to learn. Now, when you say the lowest times, how is work there? You get a lot of work consistently, and were there times you had no work? And how did you go through that period? How was that?
Okay, so my industry is extremely volatile. It's extremely dynamic. There is no stability. There is no security. There is no PF. There's no gratuity. There's no guarantee. So a lot of people get scared, when they step into our industry thinking that there's a lot of glamour because it's a quick job comparatively to go on the mic, render your voice and get paid like really handsomely. But it's about your talent. It's about your commitment to the work. People think it's easy, let's do it. And then for 4 days when they don't have a single recording, they are scared. they want to, they'll start scavenging for work. They'll start dropping their rates. It doesn't work. The idea here is, exactly. So instability is one of the core features of my industry. If you are not scared away by, instability, if you're okay to be flexible, and if you can make sure that you have some other sources of revenue happening as well for you, then maybe this industry might work for you. But otherwise, it takes a lot of courage because there are days when there is no work, no work, and then there are days when you have to let go of work because there's so much.
Okay. So how do you manage those times when you don't have work? Right. I'm sure that you didn't had did you have multiple sources of income at that point of time, or were you dependent on this only income source?
Yeah, actually, I didn't realize about the multiple sources till I did Millionaire Mind Intensive. I think a lot of people wake up after MMI.
Right.
It happened with me as well. Yeah. So till then I was dependent only on my voicing work. And by God's grace, I was doing immensely well. But like I said, I had zero money management skills. And if you're not managing what you're earning, you can't grow it. It doesn't work the other way. So I learned it the hard way. But now if you ask me, then yes, multiple revenue streams, definitely. And that's one thing I believe is a learning a person any age should take. It doesn't matter if you're 20, doesn't matter if you're 45, you've got to have multiple streams of income.
Right. So can you put some light on the money management system? What was there before you learned the system and what is right now? I don't want you to share your worth. What is it you're earning?
Yeah, IT people.
But how was it? How did you manage? How you used to manage, and how do you manage right now?
Okay, so like I said earlier, there was zero management. I was completely not aware of how I should be allocating my income into categories to be able to secure my future, to be secure looking after my parents, to secure an amount separately that I can grow into passive income. So this knowledge was not there. This all came after attending the Millionaire Mind Intensive and T. Harv Eker's program, essentially, which Sakshat Gyan does in our country. And because I did that program, within 2 years of finishing it, I was actually able to contribute to the education of a medical college student. So I think, yes, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to contribute to somebody's success financially as well. Beautiful. And I believe if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Beautiful.
Because I would run away from numbers. I was not interested in filing my IT returns because I would get scared of looking at them. And if I have come such a long way, then now my management is such that I am pretty close to generating my own passive income. I'm going to be financially free pretty soon.
Wonderful.
By the grace of MMI and the grace of God. It's a matter of one decision.
Right, absolutely. And how do you take that decision? I was actually about to ask that question. So people attend a lot of programs, people learn a lot of things. So, then how do you make sure that you implement that? Implement for some days and then you forget. The life takes over. Have you made sure that life didn't take over?
You're right. Actually, that happens with a lot of people. In fact, it's happened with me a couple of times where I've gone into a seminar, come out all gung-ho, and then after 5 days, it's like all fizzled out. But I honestly feel, look, that laughter of pain experience we are bonding on. But the truth is this. If you want to change your life, you must apply the knowledge. So it's like this. If you want your life to look different than it did before you got into a seminar or a workshop or an experience, if you want it to look any different, even a little bit, then you must take different steps. And those different steps are what they teach you in those programs. So, it's not that knowledge is wisdom. Applied knowledge is wisdom.
Right.
Knowledge is like buying a Ferrari, and if you're not driving it, if it's sitting in your garage,
what's the point?
So, so drive that Ferrari, use that knowledge, because you not only just paid for it in money, you paid for it in time, and you'll never get back your time. So you don't want to be in the same place a year from now.
Right. True.
You want to be in a better place, you start applying it. So that's the key. Remember that one thing. That's how I drove myself. That do I want to be in the same place I was even 1 week ago? No.
Okay.
I want to be better.
Okay, wonderful. So now, how do you keep that mindset on? I'm very curious to understand that. How do you keep that mindset on? Because it is so easy to fizzle out. And don't take me wrong, because most of the people I was in that situation wherein it was easy. Arey, now you do that, it is easy for you to say that. How do I actually do it?
Okay, so it's like exercising a muscle. It's a muscle. Think of it as a muscle. The more you exercise it, the more you do it, the stronger it gets. So it's like creating a habit. And the way I created a habit successfully was 3 years ago at the Millionaire Mind Intensive. I met this wonderful bunch of people, our mastermind family, who is my success family. I mean, I've achieved so much of success because of the support I get from them. So having people in your life who support your success, who go beyond support, actually they ensure your success, that they've got your back and they will pull you up if you've not done something you promised to deliver. That's very important. So that kind of keeps you on track. You're always working towards your goals. And if you have something that's missing, then you've got someone to ask for help. Because come on, none of us can achieve anything alone. We are big for a community, right?
True.
I look at what is happening sitting inside a lockdown, what is happening to people. It's like withdrawal symptoms are happening with between friends.
True.
So
True.
you need your support system. You need your success family. Create a system around you that you will ensure their success, they will ensure your success. So that keeps you on track. And the other thing is always remember this, that you're losing time. The longer you're delaying your action, the longer you're postponing your success. And you will never get this time back. Ever get time back.
That's true. So that leads to another question. So now when you say time, people should not act from a fear mindset, right? That time chala ja raha hai. Should not, right? Is it a should?
Yes.
Or how do you come with an equilibrium with that thought? Because I have gone through that. So I wanted to understand your version of that.
Okay. So I completely agree with you. Don't be driven by fear. Now here the difference in perspective is this. You're not afraid of losing the time. You're actually not going to achieve the success that you set out to achieve the longer you sit on it. So it's the realization of postponement, right? The reason why I say about losing time is because that's one resource you can't create, even if you have gazillion dollars. You can earn a bucket load of money, but you won't be able to buy the time back that you lost. And when you speak about fear, yes, now I have experienced this myself. I have friends who say this, यार ये 20 साल पहले किसी ने बताया होता तो कितना अच्छा. You know?
Right.
ये पहले क्यों नहीं सीखा हमने? That is the element I'm talking about. That a couple of months later you say, यार ये तो हमने 6 महीने पहले सीखा था, तभी शुरू करते थे ना, आज मार्केट देखो कैसा है. Today I would have made money.
Right.
This realization.
Okay.
So I agree with you that you should not let fear drive you, but stay aware of the fact that what you have right now is only right now.
Right.
Only now is real. Tomorrow is a possibility. Yesterday is over. Now is the only time that is real. Yeah.
Right.
Creation is in the now. Anything is possible in the now.
Right.
और तुम अगर now को जाने देती हो तो वो now past में चला जाता है, फिर there is only possibility. There's nothing really that you're just dreaming, right?
Right.
And there is no future in your past. So stop obsessing over what decisions you took wrong, what mistakes you made, what you could have done better had somebody told this to you 20 years ago. Right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. You cannot change your past. The only thing which you can change is your now, this moment.
Yes.
Absolutely. Wonderful. What is the correlation between self-worth and success according to you? With an example, you are very good at examples.
Okay. Thank you. Now there's a lot of pressure for me to think. Okay.
That's
so,
tricky.
Yeah. I believe self-worth equals net worth. Okay. So, and your net worth in your monetary sense, your net worth in material success sense, your net worth in how people perceive you. So, it's your value as an individual that is directly proportional to how much you think you're worth. So it's very natural for people who are low in confidence to undermine their ability to handle a situation. Because if I am not confident of doing something, then I'm coming across as someone who's not confident to handle something.
Right.
The opposite person can read it. You don't need to use words, right? People can see it. It's obvious.
Absolutely.
And then they hesitate to give you that responsibility just because you've shown hesitation in wanting to handle it.
Right.
That reconfirms your doubt in yourself. That देख मेरे को pick नहीं किया, किसको दिया, उसको दिया, मेरे को नहीं दिया.
Right.
So it's like this. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like fear is also a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're on this hamster wheel. You'll keep going round and round. You'll send out more lack of confidence to the world. and more reaffirmations will come back to you that yes, you're not worthy of it. So it's directly proportional.
Directly proportional.
Yes.
So how do you get out of that cycle? See, I'll set the context as well. Now, when I'm saying that, now people unknowingly they get into that trap, and they see their world as that cycle, and whatever they see, they believe, and they put into that action, and the same situation repeats. How do you get out of that cycle?
Okay, so let's take a person who is someone who has low self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, me at the age of 8, me at the age of 10, me at the age of 12.
Mm-hmm.
When I used to go to the recording studio and feel like I'm insignificant in front of the people who could speak English properly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my self-confidence was practically, at ground level. I would hide from them just because they would speak in such a way that made me feel very small. So at that point in time, what I would do was I would observe them. Now I'm speaking from what I did, what came to me.
Wonderful.
It may work for some people. What happened to me was, as I was observing them, and I've been raised to be nice to people because that's how my parents are.
Beautiful.
So we don't believe in being bad to someone who's bad to us, because what they are is who they are. What we are is who we are.
Right.
You are you are an apple. I am a pear. End of story. I cannot be an apple.
Right.
That's it.
Perfect.
So I don't. So we were raised to believe that don't change your behavior just because somebody is treating you. Don't behave like that. Who are you? You behave the way you are. So I would observe the way they were behaving, and I did not like it. So I would still struggle as a child to be nice to them. Like I would wince my teeth and like, okay, fine, this is what I've been taught. I should do this. But what I realized in that was, gradually, I started coming into my own because I consistently was true to who I am.
Oh,
it didn't matter. So it didn't matter what the other people were up to. But on the practical front, I would say that I started emulating their skills. I would listen to them speaking in English because I wanted to master the language. And then I would go back and study. I would go back and read. I exposed myself to such high-level books that I didn't understand anything. But yeah, it's true. Like I read Napoleon Hill when I was in school, and I was like, "What is this man talking?"
Wow.
No, and Ayn Rand. Who reads Fountainhead in school? So I would sit with the dictionary and in the book just because I wanted to understand. Yeah, but it was very difficult. So the point is emulating the skills that will improve your self-confidence. That's one thing that works.
Beautiful.
So where does your lack of self-worth come from? Where does your lack of confidence in yourself come from? Find out what makes you feel unworthy and address that one aspect. For me, it was not knowing English. So I started learning English. So there have been other things in my youth which I gradually learned the same way, So I found out why I was feeling unworthy about myself, and I addressed that one thing about me, and I changed it. Because you're the only person who can change it. No one can live your life.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Being curious.
I hope that helps.
Absolutely. Every single word helps. So it's basically being curious about being curious, have a want, and do the stuff which is needed.
Yes. So find out where your lack of self-worth comes from and address that thing. Change that thing about you. Because like recently when I was training at one of the seminars, I had this one person come up to me and say, ma'am, you were up on stage and you told us that don't socialize or don't stay with people who make you feel unworthy. I said, yes, I did say that. And this youngster, okay, he's a teenager. He says to me, but ma'am, what if that person is your parent? You can't run away from them. It was a very valid question. And I said, so why does this person tell you that you're not worthy, or how do they express this? So this teenager goes, he says, like his father unfortunately was saying to him that तेरे से नहीं होने वाला है, तू नहीं कर सकता है. So I said, what is the one thing that this statement is for? Right? You need not tell me. What is that one thing he's saying? तेरे से नहीं होने वाला है, तू नहीं कर सकता. What is that thing? So he explained what it was, and I asked him, "Do you really want to do it?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Then when you start doing it, will that statement go away?"
Beautiful.
He said, "Yeah, actually, if I have done it, then he can't say तेरे से नहीं होगा."
Right.
I said that's your point. That's your cue. Until you do it, you might have to hear him say it. Do it. Once you've done it, who's going to tell you can't do it? There's your self-worth right there.
Beautiful. That explains a lot. Thank you. Wonderful. It's basically like you need to do to know, right? Do to know it.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, like learning and knowing is one thing, but doing, then you really know it because you've become that thing then.
Right.
Then you know what it means.
Right. And there are categories of people who are there, who understands, who know a lot of stuff, who are preachers and they don't do stuff. I would say you need to take that effort to do that little step. That's what matters.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to take action, right? See, action is the solution. It's the antidote to fear. It's the antidote to criticism. Action is the solution to every problem.
Right.
You've got to set your intention and just go after it like you're on fire. Then there's no stopping you. And once you've done it, you're on the other side.
Yes.
And that's where your self-worth and your self-confidence and everything is right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's so obvious.
I can so relate to you. Like starting making videos, like shit scared of making videos.
Now look at you. You're flowing through the process.
Thank you. Now, let's talk about self-judgment. Self-worth is one, and there are a lot of self-talks which a lot of people have. Like we say, in theory, okay. In theory, we say that don't compare your life to a person's 20th chapter when you are still at your first chapter, right?
Right.
So, how do you get out of that? Have you experienced something judging yourself? Self-sabotaging kind of, and getting out of that.
Yes. Okay. So now this is going to be a little heavy. Are you ready for this?
Perfect.
Okay. So what happens is this. I have also compared myself when I was younger, when I had less awareness. I would feel that, this friend of mine is doing so much, my age, my education background, my socio-economic background, whatever. Yaar, main kya kar rahi hu? You know? So this was when I was much, much younger. And what I realized back then was half the things, when I actually looked at the situation, half the things this person was doing, I didn't even want to do. Why was I comparing myself?
Such a valid point.
Yeah, and you know why? Because our society has ingrained in us this idea of a normal life. You are supposed to go to school, go to college, get a good education, get a good job, buy a house, get married, have children, educate your children, get them married, get them to have children. Who says this is that everybody's doing?
Right.
I realized way later in my life that my dream is a little different. And everybody has different dreams, and it's okay if you don't want the same thing. That's the first thing. Realizing, understanding, acknowledging, assessing whether what you think you want is what you really want. That's one step. The second aspect is when you are, this is Dr. John Demartini who taught us. Amazing. If you guys haven't heard of Dr. John Demartini, please look him up. Please watch his videos, read his stuff. He is immensely powerful, right?
He is amazing.
So, what he taught us was the value system. And he said this, that something that really matters to you, something that's very important to you, nobody has to motivate you to go get it. You will get up and do it yourself. Like how when you're a teenager, the only thing that really matters to you is looking cool in front of your friends and playing video games. Or in today's generation, socializing on Insta or Snapchat or whatever.
Right.
And when you're in your early phase of your career, all you want to do is advance. You want to progress. You want to get promoted. Going out and doing it. Nobody is telling you go out and do it. That's your value then.
Right.
So understanding that when your value system, whatever your values are, when you have achieved them, no, you'll stop comparing yourself with somebody else. Because their value system is different compared to yours.
Absolutely.
They have different goals. You have your goals.
Yes.
So that's why I said this would be a little heavy. But it was extremely reassuring and empowering for me to listen to Dr. Demartini say this, because it kind of, like I said, reaffirmed the fact that I was chasing somebody else's value system, not mine. My value system, now I'm ticking all the boxes.
Wow.
So that's where you stop comparing. And I wish everybody finds their own, they have clarity in their value systems, because that brings you a lot of, it sets you free.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, comparison and complaining are two extremely powerful and extremely detrimental attitudes or habits to have.
Okay.
The more you look into somebody else's cup, the more you think somebody else's lawn is greener than yours, the more you do this, the bigger it grows. There's no limit. And you're constantly feeding yourself with that. So what you're doing is, like, I've seen people do this. I'm not exaggerating. I've seen a couple of my friends do this. They'll say कि अरे ये मेरे साथ कॉलेज में पढ़ती थी. Okay? इसको क्या इंस्टा पे कोई मिल गया? Then they'll go look into that person's life. Then they'll see where does that person stay, what kind of a house do they have children, what do they have a job. They'll go through all the details. How did that make you feel?
It feels pathetic at that point of time comparing.
Because, and it's so wrong, right? Their 20th chapter, your first chapter, you said it yourself, right? So it's this loop that you won't get out of if you don't stop at the word, like right at the beginning. You got to stop right at the beginning, and you've got to say this. God bless them for the life they had. God bless me for my awesome life.
Beautiful. Yeah. I'll just summarize in this.
Yes.
And first and foremost thing which I loved is, it is okay.
Yes.
सबसे important, it's okay. आप जो life जी रहे हो, it's okay. Compare करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आपकी life unique है. And that this is something which gave me a lot of relief. A relief that अच्छा यार, मैं जो life जी रहा हूँ, it's okay. No problem.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
See, so long as you're not complacent now. See, you work hard. You work really hard for your goals. You go out there and you do what is needed.
Right.
Then there is no need to think that you're lesser than anyone else.
Right.
If a person is sitting at home watching Netflix all day and not doing anything, then they're feeling bad because their life sucks. Your life will suck then. But you're not one of those. You're a hard-working person. You're a smart-working person.
Smart.
You work smart, And you go after your dreams. You give it all you've got. Why should you feel that you're less than anyone else?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Because I know how it feels. Like, look, nobody was there to tell me when I was younger that it's okay to not want what other people think you should want. And I believe that has been one very liberating thing for me. To be okay with myself, to be fine with whatever it is that I want to do with my life, and not have to judge myself from the viewpoint of other people.
Right.
And I wish everybody the same kind of freedom. I wish them happiness, because you're responsible for your joy. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You've got to take charge of your life. You've got to say, hey, this works for me and this doesn't, and that's why it's okay.
Beautiful.
So I'm grateful for this opportunity, Shara. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And every word which you spoke was from your heart and experience. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And for the last question, what are the tips which you would like to give, 2 or 3 tips, or rather books, whatever you feel like to give, suggestions if you want to give to people who are in that loop right now?
Raha sawal tips ka, so then, like I said, the very first point just before you asked me this question, to have the courage to be faithful to yourself. First, be loyal to yourself before you say you're faithful to somebody else, because when you want to be faithful to someone else, you're actually being faithful to their definition of life and not your own. And thereby you're actually cheating yourself out of a good life. And this comes to me from one of my all-time favorite poems by Uraya the Mountain Dreamer. And it's called The Invitation. I'll share that also with you. You can just share it with everybody.
Sure.
Where she asks a series of questions, and you can just answer those questions for yourself, and you will see your life like you're looking through a piece of glass. You'll see it very clearly. So that was the first tip. And the other one is very simple actually. Find a way to be happy with who you are. And if you're not happy with who you are, then find a way to become who makes you happy. Don't look for someone else who makes you happy. It's nobody else's job. It's not your husband's, wife's, life partner's, business partner's, baniya's, nobody's job. It's your job. So, and because from joy, life springs. From joy, creativity springs. From joy, success springs.
Beautiful.
If you can be happy, then you can be everything you want. Just these two things.
Beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prachi. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much for that wonderful smile of yours. I guess, with this smile of yours, a lot of people, बहुत सारे लोगों का ऐसा worry ऐसे निकल जाएगा.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this was our conversation with Prachi, a wonderful conversation. Hope you have got a lot of knowledge. So do comment below. And if you want to reach out to Prachi is not there on Facebook.
Yeah, actually, wait. I do have a page now, which is my transformation trainer page. It's a public page.
Okay.
Because I'm a private person otherwise. But yes, now I have started reaching out to people because I know I can help them more. So I figured it was very unfair that I was keeping my entire world to myself. So I said, all right, let's be more accessible. Let's take others with us. Let's all do this together. So yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for doing that.
My pleasure. So it says Prachi Mahekar Transformation Trainer. So it's there on Facebook.
And Prachi also has a beautiful page where she shares every day golden nuggets of wisdom, which probably, most of the times when I read that, it is the message which I want for that day, at that point of time, whenever I read that. So it is called 68 Seconds of Buddha. I'll share that name as well here. So go and like that page and get your golden nuggets.
Thank you. Awesome. Happy to be the messenger.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much, Prachi, for being here. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for having me. And I'll see you soon.
See you. Awesome.